My name is Chris Leone. I'm the Senior Vice President of Human Capital Management here at Oracle. I represent not only our Human Capital Management Cloud suite of applications, but also our on-premise e-business suite and PeopleSoft applications as well. I'm joined here with Shenoy, and I'm going to let Shenoy introduce himself. Shenoy, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. I'm S.Y. Shenoy, Group Vice President for all of EBS HCM development, and I also manage global HR, talent management, and composition engineering in Cloud HCM, which means I see the world from both the perspective of Cloud and e-business suite. And with e-business HCM over 20 years, it looks forever, and the Cloud HCM working for last 11 years. Happy to be part of this session and share my experience. This will be really cool from EBS customer point of view.
Great. Now, as I said, we've collected a number of questions from our e-business suite customers, top of mind questions for them through various surveys. And I'm going to fire them away. You'll take some, I'll take some, and we'll just have a conversation around it. So first question is, the majority of e-business suite customers, as we know, have deployed a broader suite of products than just HR or HCM. We know they've deployed supply chain and they've deployed ERP as a full suite. What have you seen, and how are customers deploying our HCM suite or Fusion suite today?
EBS customer always adopted suite approach right from the beginning, global single instance approach with ERP, HCM, supply chain all together, right? In early days of Cloud HCM, as an example, people did try for a pillar-based approach, and partly because of availability of integrated suite in the cloud. But the things have changed in last 3-4 years. As an example, if you see it, it is the ERP and HCM combined or supply chain combined. Implementations are happening more in the last 3 to 4 years, and partly because of the fully available suite for all industries, and with the adaptive intelligence offering, which is covering all the pillars, it will make much more business sense to go for EBS way of doing it with the integrated suite. And that's what we are seeing in the customer adoption in the last 3-4 years in the cloud.
That's great, Shenoy. And I think when we hear from our panelists later in this session, you'll hear customers like Sinclair Broadcasting that has deployed the full suite, including supply chain and ERP. And you'll also hear from customers like the Cooperative Group that have just deployed HR. So we're seeing a lot more move to the suite, just like traditional e-business suite customers have in the past. But we also have some customers that have deployed just the HCM pillar. So a big question that we get from many customers, e-business suite customers that are still running their system, since the cloud is the future of Oracle, we hear it from Larry and Safra. Are you stopping all investment in e-business suite on-premise?
Not really. E-business 12.2 will have a premier support until year 2031. So that's like another 11 years to go. That's really long way. And the release 12 point will have premier support until December 2021, right? And post that, they can choose to go for cloud deployment or can upgrade to release 12.2. And if they wanted to take some time for decide, then you'll have the ACS offering to support 12.1 also with additional ACS support fee. Having said that, in the cloud investment is at a different level. And probably what I see it is the people will probably adopt for the cloud investment much before that the 2031 premier support period. And I see it is not because of the premier support point of view, because the business value what they get out of adopting the cloud applications. And coming to the investment point of view, we are more focused on customer-driven enhancements and resolving all business issues with the highest quality in e-business suite, and we have dedicated team for that. But the investment in the cloud is different level, and probably Chris, you know better, and you can add how the cloud investment is about.
Yeah, great. I mean, obviously the strategic direction for Oracle is investment in our cloud suite, and we're investing extremely heavily there. but we've supported, the Applications Unlimited program for many years. And as Shenoy said, we'll continue to invest in eBusiness Suite, but just not at the same strategic investment level that we're investing in the cloud, because that is key component of our go forward strategy and where customers are moving at a very, very rapid pace. The next question, let me take this one, Shenoy, and you can jump in. So one of the things we get asked all the time is, are the upgrades or updates different between on-premise and in the cloud, and what do you see? And I'll start it, and then you can chime in with some of your expertise over the years with eBusiness Suite. Now, we know it takes a while for the broad eBusiness Suite on-premise to come out with a new release. Sometimes 4 years, sometimes 5 years. It can take some time. But customers prepare, they look at their customizations, they look at what new features that they want to roll out, and they have a very long time frame in order to really understand what's coming, see what gaps are closed, and then take that new release, some of the new technologies that get delivered and some of the new features and functions. So the planning cycle for an on-premise update is 2, 3, 4 years. Now, contrasted to the cloud, we have 4 updates every single year. So every single quarter, you're getting an update that includes new features and any potential fixes that we may put in. Now, in the cloud, you're moving and you're able to take new capabilities, new functionality at a more rapid pace. But you still have to plan for it. So, some rollouts could be very large. So we have customers that have rolled out our learning platform in a release or 2 releases. And then we've had some customers that have rolled out new features that we've deployed, and they've done that in a very short, 1 release timeframe where they've tested, did some unit testing with their users and rolled out a series of features in a matter of 2 weeks to a month. So the time frames at which customers are adopting new releases is much faster. And in the cloud, the one advantage that we have, everything we've built and every configuration that you can add in the cloud is always 100% upgradable. So what that means is you never have to worry about an extension that you've put in or a field and a user-defined field that you've put in that's not going to make it to the next update. None of that is a concern. It always goes forward. Anything you'd like to add on that one, Shenoy, about the difference in upgrade and updates between on-premise eBusiness Suite and our Fusion Cloud Suite?
Yeah, I mean, it is EBS releases are generally takes about 2 years, and then customer will take about 12 to 18 months to upgrade and implement the newer functionality. That is the usual cadence. And once they upgrade and live, they'll stay there for 5, 6 years for a given release. Now, when I look back, being started with the eBusiness Suite and now in the cloud applications, looking at 4 releases or 4 updates in a year, that's a huge paradigm shift for EBS customer. I'm a bit biased for HCM business user point of view, and in HCM users in EBS used to always say that I wanted to upgrade, and they are sitting with their neighbor in financial and procurement, and they are more conservative and they don't want to upgrade. So HCM user always wanted new innovations and rapidly. And what we used to have a debate is I go to the meeting and get this kind of questions, but come to the cloud, the applications, HR business user get the release updates, innovation every 3 months. And financial procurement applications also get the new innovation, but they can choose to switch on and off new functionalities. And there are facilities for that to make it happen. So the both customers, business users, HR as well as financial, both world will be happy, and rapid innovations coming at 3 months is every 3 months is a lot more different than EBS world.
So another question that came in and that we have here is a little bit pointed here. If the cloud is so great, why haven't all of the on-premise eBusiness Suite customers moved to it already?
That's partly because of the early days, the all integration suite was not available, but last 3-4 years, if you see it, it is we have fully integrated suite in HCM, ERP, supply chain, and also the CX and adaptive intelligence is the main major differentiator, which will take the each pillar business transaction and give you forecasts on what could happen, and machine learning capabilities to take on top of the the transaction system. Now all of these are available in the cloud, but it took some time in the early days to now coming to the another hindrance was the EBS customer always gone for a lot of customization. So they need to think through their customization, how they wanted to adapt into the cloud when they adapted to the cloud. But at the same time, in the cloud, the release cycle is such that it is bringing lot of new functionalities, and which was not possible in the on-premise world. On-premise world release is two-year cycle, and all the functionality for all industries we would have not able to cater. But in the cloud, we are able to deliver more functionalities for more industries, and thereby their requirement on the customization itself will come down. And even if they have some customization requirement in the cloud HCM, business users can do the configurations using Design Studio. That's so cool. I mean, it's like that you don't need IT department to make these changes. And there are features like autocomplete, which you can do the define the rules and simplified usage to make it any defaulting or a particular business rule they wanted to adapt. Business user can do it. These are the things which is now available and more matured in the last 3-4 years. Now I see it is EBS customer more happily moving it to the cloud with this kind of facilities available or functionalities available in the cloud. That's my bet. And what do you think, Chris?
I think you're right. I mean, what I've seen. So first, the first part of the answer is, I think a lot of the e-business suite customers did have some of the supply chain manufacturing components of their suite, and were waiting for us to deliver on those areas in order for them to move, a full suite over. And as you said, we've delivered that now, and so we're seeing a lot more full suite e-business suite customers move. So agree with that point 100%. And then your second point on some of the innovations that are unique and are adding value in an e-business suite customers, kind of seeing it as something different than what they're used to. Leads us into our next question. So I'll ask that question, but I'll kind of continue answering what you started. So the next question is, what are some of the innovations that you've achieved in the cloud, and how are those different from eBusiness Suite? And exactly what you said, Shenoy. So first, I think a lot of the eBusiness Suite deployments were really driven and owned by the IT component of the organization. And they owned the not only technical configuration, managing the database and managing the more technical components, but they also owned a lot of the functional configuration, certainly working with the HR business partner, but they owned a lot more of the functional configuration. And what you highlighted was some of the kind of changes that we've made to really move the functional configuration much more to the line of business owner, the HR owner, and you named some great ones. So what we have called the Experience Design Studio allows you to configure all of your pages based on whatever location, country that you're in. So you can configure the page for the local country rules, or configure the page for local business unit fields that you might want to display. And so it allows for a lot more simplicity of configurability of the system, and allows the business user to do it. So that type of simplification is something that we had to develop for the cloud, especially when you have these rapid update cycles. You want the business to be able to deploy and configure the system really, really quickly. I think another great one, and I know we struggled a little bit on the eBusiness Suite side around mobility, right? Providing a set of mobile capabilities in the cloud. And we had, we've tried, and we've had some starts and then some stops, and it's been tough technically to really deliver a great mobile solution in our on-premise eBusiness Suite.
I agree with you. I mean, it's in eBusiness Suite, when you got this new mobile and the toy in the hand, we all thought that, okay, everybody will move to the mobile application. And likewise in EBS HCM also, we came with the native mobile applications. And we thought that that would be really cool. And when we talked to the customer IT department, CIOs, they liked it and they said they will go for it. Guess what? So when they rolled out, the customer organization employees, they did not download in their personal phone, download these apps. And even if they those were downloaded, they did not upgrade it or the update it when the time to time when there is a changes happening. Net net, the adoption is significantly lower than what we thought. And then, that is our learning. And that learning, I think we have effectively used it in the cloud. And it's a cloud, Chris, this is your brainchild to go for from the day one. Hey, we should do the mobile responsive pages, right? And that is the one it is probably is going to pay huge dividend. Even some of our cloud competition is also in the mobile application strategy they are adopting. I'll tell you from my learning that on EBS experience that employees in those organizations are not going to download or not going to update. That would be a challenge. But with this mobile responsive pages, I think we will be, having a great advantage. And probably this is your brainchild, Chris. Probably you can add more color to it.
Sure. Yeah. One of the so great, and what Shenoy was alluding to was in our Fusion Cloud HCM suite. All of our self-service pages are delivered in a mobile web responsive format, which means that you can configure the page and you can run the page on your desktop, you can run it on a tablet, and you can run it on any mobile device. And the configuration, the additional user-defined fields, any calculations that you have is identical across all those platforms. We only have to build the page once, and you can use it on any device that you want. So it really simplifies deployment, simplifies configuration. And one of the key things that you don't have to do is deploy a mobile app where you have to manage the device. You have to potentially acquire some device management capabilities so you don't lose data if a device gets lost or stolen. And those complexities that IT has to manage really go away if you move to mobile web responsive. And that's been the strategy that we've taken in Fusion in the cloud. And that's why we've gotten such large uptake. About 30 to 40% of all transactions that are completed in the cloud are done in a mobile device, whether that's through email or whether that's on a transaction in the device. A large portion is done through a mobile device, which is great. Okay, a couple more questions we'll take here, and then we'll move to our panel. So the next one that everybody asks is around payroll. So we have some great customers running payroll on our Fusion Cloud, but can you tell me where eBusiness Suite is from a payroll perspective, how many payrolls that you supported? And then I'll kind of explain what our strategy is for the cloud and some of the great customers that we have.
Yeah. In the eBusiness Suite, we had about 24 countries support for payroll, but the more, the usage would be on the US and UK and Canada. That is a primary one. But nevertheless, we had that worldwide. We wanted to adopt for different payroll localization, which we did it. Over a period, we learned some of the localizations were not heavily adopted, but we learned from there. But I think you have a different approach and from the beginning, and I think that all the experience we have heavily leveraged from PeopleSoft and EBS and adapted in the cloud. So probably you can add more color on the payroll strategy from the day one. You are so clear how we need to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, so we wanted to have a two-pronged approach for payroll, similar to what we did in eBusiness Suite, but we wanted to pick the countries where our customers had the largest populations, where it made sense for them to, from a cost perspective, to deploy payroll in-house. And we picked about 10 countries that we would build payroll where we had a lot of success. And Shenoy mentioned the three key ones. So obviously US, Canada, the UK, and we've built others like Mexico and the Middle East, where we have a number of customers that have deployed in China and some countries like that. But we've had a ton of success. And one of the things that we always get asked is, can you handle the complexity of union requirements that we see a lot, whether it's in time and labor or translating into payroll? Can you do that? Can you pay in all 50 states? Can you handle some of the complexities around absences that we see in the UK and route that through pay? And the answer to all of those questions is yes. Our payroll has been one of the most successful areas of our suite. We have some of the largest customers, some of the largest e-business suite customers that have moved to the cloud. I'll give you a few examples. Sainsbury, a large retailer, grocer in the UK. Through acquisitions, they have about 260,000 employees. They've been live on our suite, including payroll, for a couple years now. And so very, very large strategic customer of ours, live on payroll. You're going to hear from the Cooperative Group, another large UK customer that has absences and pay in the UK. Successful, and you'll hear their story, so I won't steal their thunder. And then US, we have a number of very, very large, successful deployed customers running our US payroll, like Macy's is a great customer. Very, very stable payroll system, handling some of the largest and most complex, whether they be hourly workers or whether they could be professional workers. So yeah, we've had a lot of success, but we also have, we've changed the game from a payroll interface perspective. So we don't just support a batch style feed. Now we support some real-time integration with some of the global payroll providers. So if you're not running one of our native payrolls and you want to work with an ADP or a Celegro or some of the other ones out there, we've delivered a real-time payroll interface. So as you're making changes to the employee record or the employee's making changes, we can update that directly into ADP without having to send a batch file over. So we've made some clear changes in our strategy, really focused on some key payrolls, and then trying to make the experience when you're rolling out a broader set of third-party payrolls much better for the user. Okay, I'm going to ask you this last question, and it's about innovations that we're bringing to the cloud. If you can think of any more, and then I'll chime in as well. So the question that people want to understand is, are there any additional innovations that we're bringing to the cloud? We've talked a little bit about mobility. We've talked a little bit about Design Studio. Any other ones that that you can think of that in the cloud that we've brought that are a little bit different?
The one which I like the most is the chatbot. The one which is like, you can on the go, you can have a chat, you wanted to see the payslip for sure, and on the go, you can do it. And you can get the text messages on the push notifications. So, you really don't need and download an app, and you get the push notifications, you get the text messages, and you wanted to approve something, you can do it. Or you can go for any of the chatbot using that. You can go for any of the promotions or any transaction, self-service transaction, you can go. Basically, the combination of chatbot and the push notification and getting it as a text message, I think these are something which is very cool. And it is really not as a development lead, but as a end user, as a personal use, I think it is a great thing to go for. I mean, it's like adoption should be so rapid, and it's a day in, day out. You would like to apply leave, you would like to look for your payslip. I think this is really cool. And I see some of our COVID time also, some of our customer adopted these things. These are all would have been not possible in the on-premise world to bring those changes so rapidly.
Shenoy, you took one of my major things I was going to talk about. Digital assistant chatbot is a fantastic one. That is a great one. We have customers like Hilton Hotels, who the majority of their workers in their hospitality suites in their hotels only access our application from the phone. And what they've been able to do is reduce their help desk calls significantly by allowing their workers, their hotel workers, to just ask questions of their digital assistant and get immediate answers and responses back. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention We have some great investments in some of the latest technology to help automate our systems. It really is about automation. So we're investing in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and you're seeing that throughout. We've done that in our recruiting cloud, which is unique. So we have things like the next best candidate, which is exciting. And then we've tried to take some of those technologies and build them into the day-to-day aspects of what you do in the system. So we have something called suggested actions. So this is where you come to the home page, and we're going to use AI to suggest the next best action that you should take as a user, as an individual in the system. So we're really trying to leverage some of the new technologies like digital assistant, like AI and machine learning. And because we have such a large investment in R&D in our cloud suite, we're able to rapidly innovate, get customers to try and give us feedback and update the system. I can tell you that the digital assistant, the UI is the conversation, and the feedback that we got from some of our early customers like Hilton has really allowed us to rapidly make it better and better, make the conversation feel more natural and those types of things. So it's great. So thank you, Shenoy. This has been extremely fun. Little Chris and Shenoy Unplugged session here to kick this off. I want to first thank all of our great eBusiness Suite customers. You've been with us a long time. We've invested in Applications Unlimited. We have a natural path for you now, and we've built out the full suite, including supply chain manufacturing, so you can start to or continue to move into the cloud. And we have a great panel that is up next. That you're gonna love, and we'll talk to some of the great customers that have already made that transition from on-premise eBusiness Suite to the cloud.